He sat on a low stone wall at the edge of the small town square, elbows on his knees, watching people move through late afternoon light the way a river moves over stones, steady and without hurry. And if anyone looked closely, they might have seen that his eyes stayed on the movement, but his mind stood far away. He was an explorer from very far out, trained to map places and measure patterns. Yet today, he was only a quiet figure in plain clothes, the kind that do not draw a second glance. The square was ordinary in the best way. A baker closing his window, a dog sleeping under a bench, two old friends arguing kindly about nothing important, the smell of bread and dust in the air. A child's ball bounced, rolled crooked across the tiles, and stopped near the explorer's boot. A boy ran after it, the kind of run that is more bounce than speed. Hair messy, face open. He picked up the ball, looked up, and did what children do when they meet someone sitting alone. He asked the truth out loud. "Are you alone?" The words were simple, but they landed heavy, like a small stone dropped into deep water. The explorer did not answer at once. Where he came from, alone was a status, not a feeling. It meant you were assigned to a task without a partner, and you did the task and reported the result. Feelings were private, like passwords, kept hidden to protect the system. He searched for an easy reply, something polite that would end the moment. But the boy kept looking at him with patient eyes, so he told a smaller truth. "I travel by myself," he said. The boy nodded, not satisfied and not rude, just curious. "That's not what I asked," he said. "I asked if you're alone." The explorer looked at the boy more carefully. The boy had dirt on one knee, a tiny rip on his shirt, a string around his wrist that held a plastic ring, the kind you get from a machine when you trade a coin for luck. The explorer thought of a word from training. Empathy. It means feeling with someone, not for someone. He wondered if this boy was carrying empathy the way he carried that ring, simple and without weight, ready to share. "I don't know," the explorer said, and the honesty surprised him. The boy sat on the wall beside him like it was the most natural thing in the world, knees swinging, hands squeezing the ball softly. He did not talk right away. He looked around the square, at the dog, the baker, the tilted sun, and then he said, "Sometimes I feel alone, even when I'm with people. Sometimes I don't feel alone, even when I'm by myself." He shrugged, a small human gesture that means the world is big and words are small. My mom says alone is not about how many bodies are near you. It's about who knows your name. The explorer tested that idea in his head as if it were a new tool. Who knows your name? He had many names in many systems, codes and call signs, safe labels that opened doors, but none of them were the kind spoken by a friend at a table or shouted across a field at sunset. The boy bounced the ball once and caught it again. "Do you have someone here who knows your name?" he asked. The explorer thought of the local registry where he had typed a false name this morning, letters borrowed from an old book in a bus stop. It was useful. It was not his. "Not here," he said, careful. The boy did not look sad for him. He looked active, like a person who has a small job to do and plans to do it well. "Okay," he said. "Then I know it. Today I will know it. You can tell me, or you can make one up. My grandpa says new places need new names." The explorer felt a quick warmth, surprise mixed with a kind of relief. He gave the boy a short name that fit inside this language without breaking it. The boy repeated it and grinned, pleased with how it sounded next to his own. A breeze crossed the square and lifted the dust in thin lines. The explorer noticed how the town breathed together. Footsteps, voices, a cafe spoon tapping a cup, the soft thump of the ball against a palm, and the pattern felt less like a list to study and more like a song to learn. "I am not used to being asked," he said, and he did not mean the question. He meant the care. The boy nodded again, as if that made perfect sense. "Grown-ups forget to ask," he said. "They think, then they guess, then they get busy." He looked up at the explorer. "I can sit a little if you want." The explorer had been trained to decline, to preserve distance so that data stayed clean. But he heard himself say, "You can." The boy stayed, not talking much, just being there, and the strange pressure behind the explorer's ribs eased a little. The tight circle that had been holding his thoughts too close, growing wider until the square fit inside it. He learned the boy's dog's name, the name of the game they played in the alley, the way the bell from the clock tower sounded like a metal bird at noon. He did not share star routes or station rules or the catalog words for the blue-white suns he had seen, but he did say that the wind here smelled good, and the boy agreed, as if they had just made a small secret together. After a while, the boy slid down from the wall. "I have to go," he said. "Homework." He made a face that said homework is a long word for a short patience. Then he added, not dramatic and not heavy, just clear, "I'll come back tomorrow. If you're here, I'll know your name twice." He tapped his chest with the ball. "Then you won't be alone." The explorer watched him cross the square, watched him turn once and wave with his whole arm, watched the small figure shrink to a moving dot at the corner. The light shifted. The baker turned the sign on the door. The dog yawned. The square kept being the square, but now it held a mark only he could feel, the kind you cannot map with lines. He said the boy's name under his breath once, then his own, and they sounded like two notes that belonged to the same song. He was still one person sitting on a wall in a town he did not know, but the answer to the question had changed. When someone promises to come back and mean it, there is a line drawn from them to you, and that line is a simple word: home. He was not at home yet, but for the first time since crossing the long dark between stars, he knew which direction to face. He returned the next afternoon, just as the heat of the day began to soften and long shadows grew across the square like stretching animals waking from sleep. He did not rush. Rushing was a human habit, and he was still learning which parts of being human were useful. Instead, he walked slowly, with the quiet caution of someone who once learned to move in places where silence was safety. The same stone wall waited for him. The same trees rustled lazily overhead. The same distant sounds of life shaped the air: a radio from a bakery, a bicycle bell ringing, two brothers arguing about who kicked the ball harder. Everything familiar, yet nothing ordinary. Because once a heart has been noticed, the world does not look the same again. He sat in the same place, elbows on his knees just like before. But today, he did not look like someone staring at a horizon that only he could see. Today there was a stillness in him that was not emptiness, but expectation. Like soil waiting for rain. He was not sure whether the boy would return. Children are loyal in ways adults forget, but they are also pulled by school and chores and naps and small adventures that adults never understand. Yet part of him believed the boy would come, because the boy had said he would come. And promises, he was learning, were not just sound shaped by breath here. They were threads, invisible but real. He heard footsteps before he saw him, quick, light, uneven from excitement. The boy came running, the same ball tucked under his arm, hair wild, backpack hanging open like it tried to escape him. He skidded to a stop in front of the explorer, panting, then lifted his chin with the proud seriousness only kids can manage. "I'm here," the boy declared, as if the whole world had been waiting on that fact. The explorer nodded once. "I can see. Did you wait long?" the boy asked. "A little," he answered. The boy grinned. "Good. Waiting means you meant it." The explorer blinked. "Meant what?" "Coming back," the boy said, plopping down beside him again, knees swinging just like yesterday. If someone waits, it means they wanted to be here, not just happened to be here. He thought about that. On his world, they waited for signals, for orders, for navigation paths to clear. Waiting was logistics. But here, waiting meant wanting. Wanting meant caring. Caring meant risk. Yet somehow none of this felt dangerous. It felt honest. The boy tossed the ball into his hands, and the explorer caught it awkwardly. It was soft, warm from the boy's run, printed with faded comic characters. "Do you know how to play catch?" the boy asked. "Catch?" the explorer repeated. The boy nodded, lifted his eyebrows like he was offering an ancient secret. "It's easy. You throw it, I catch. Then I throw it. You catch. We don't let it fall, and if it falls, we laugh and try again." The explorer looked at the ball, then at the boy. "That is the whole game?" "Pretty much. And this is fun?" The boy shrugged. "Only with someone." He tossed the ball lightly. The explorer flinched at first, then lifted his hands and caught it. Not gracefully, but successfully. The boy clapped once, exaggerated and bright. "See? You're good at it already." He threw it back, stiff at first, then smoother on the second throw. And just like that, something simple began. They threw and caught, and the sound of the soft ball hitting palms became a small rhythm between them, soft and steady. Other children noticed, glanced over, not shocked, not scared, just curious why a grown man and a small boy were laughing quietly at a game meant for playground grass and scraped knees. When the ball slipped once and rolled toward a passing dog, the dog stole it proudly, tail wagging fast. The boy groaned dramatically and chased it, while the explorer watched with a feeling he could not name. Amusement mixed with warmth, mixed with something like gravity but softer. Something that pulled him toward this moment instead of holding him to the ground. When the boy came back, ball rescued and hair messier than before, he sat again. "You're not like other grown-ups," he said. "Most grown-ups only talk or look at their phones. You listen." The explorer tilted his head. "Listening is rare? With adults? Super rare." The boy leaned in a little. "But it's how you know someone. Not by talking, by hearing." The explorer repeated the idea quietly to himself. To know someone, listen. In training, knowing meant measuring, recording, analyzing. But here, knowledge was softer, more fragile, more alive. The boy tossed the ball lightly again, catching it in the air before it dropped. "You know," he said thoughtfully, "yesterday my mom asked who I was talking to. I told her your name. She smiled. She knows me now?" "Kind of," the boy said. "She knows you're real. That's the first step. Real." On his world, real meant functioning, operational, verified. Here, real meant seen. He felt that truth settle deep, like a seed pushed gently into soil by a small hand. The boy hopped off the wall. "I have homework again. But don't go anywhere tomorrow." "Why?" the explorer asked. "Because I'm going to bring you something." "What?" "You'll see," the boy said, shoulders lifting in a mysterious shrug he'd probably learned from some movie hero. Then he waved, not small, but with his whole arm as if trying to be seen from space. "Come back again," he called. "That's how friends work." Friends. He watched the boy leave, ball bouncing, backpack flapping, heart wide open to the world. And he realized something quiet and enormous. Yesterday, he had been someone a child noticed. Today, he was someone a child returned to. Tomorrow, he would be someone a child brought something for. Step by step, without ceremony, this small human was stitching him into the world. And the feeling that filled him was not the cold, distant calm of duty. It was the warm, slow glow of belonging, a feeling he never studied, never prepared for, and could never have invented. A feeling humans call being part of something. And for the first time, he did not fear it. He welcomed it. He did not know what it meant to look forward to something until the third day. On his world, time moved like math, precise, predictable, emotionless. But now time moved like breath, uneven, a little too warm, full of feeling. So he came early again, not because duty demanded it, but because his chest felt lighter when he was near this place. He sat on the wall the way humans did when they were comfortable but thinking, elbows on knees, hands loosely held, gaze soft. The square was slow this morning, wrapped in the gentle hush before the day fully woke. A street vendor arranged bread rolls in neat rows. A young couple shared quiet laughter. A cat stretched on the warm stone path as if it owned the world. Life here did not hurry. Life here belonged. He studied a leaf turning in the breeze, amazed that something so small could move the air and not be lost. That was when he heard footsteps again. Slower today, but sure, like someone carrying a secret too big for small steps. The boy appeared, holding something behind his back, his face trying to hide a smile and failing completely. "Don't look yet," the boy said before the explorer could speak, and he squeezed his eyes shut dramatically, as if that helped him hide better. The explorer waited, curious. The boy swung around and revealed a small box. Cardboard, decorated with crooked stickers of planets and stars. "I made this," he said, a little breathless with pride. "Open it." The explorer opened the lid carefully, as if opening something sacred. Inside was a simple friendship bracelet, made of braided string in 3 colors: blue like sky, green like grass, yellow like sunlight. The ends were uneven, the knots clumsy, but to someone who had crossed light years, it looked like the most precise, beautiful construction he had ever seen. "It's for you," the boy explained, voice suddenly shy. "So even if you go somewhere, you'll remember someone here." The explorer felt something shift inside him, slow and deep. Not pain, but pressure, warm and unfamiliar. Emotion, he remembered, happens when the heart speaks louder than logic. "For me," he repeated softly, still staring at the bracelet. "Yeah," the boy nodded. "Friends do that. They give pieces of here, so you don't forget where home could be." Home. The word landed gently but firmly inside him. He had memorized star maps, learned the scale of galaxies, traveled through darkness older than civilizations. Yet no place had ever pressed into his chest the way this tiny square on this noisy planet did. The boy waited patiently. He didn't push, didn't explain again. He simply let the explorer feel. Finally, with careful fingers, the explorer put the bracelet around his wrist. It hung loosely, not designed for his size, but it fit in the only way that mattered. "Thank you," he said, the words quiet but full. "I have never received something like this." "You don't have to give me anything," the boy replied quickly, misreading the pause. "You already came back. That's enough." The explorer's throat tightened. Not physically, but in the way humans describe when their emotions rise faster than their words. He cleared his voice gently. "Where I am from," he said, "we do not give gifts like this." "Why not?" "It might make someone feel attached." The boy made a face, confused, almost offended by the logic. "That's the point," he said simply. "Or else you'd just walk away forever. And forever is too long to be alone." The explorer looked at him. Truly looked. The boy's shoes were scuffed from running. His shirt was wrinkled, and there was a crumb on his cheek from a rushed breakfast. Nothing polished, nothing perfect, but in that imperfection lived a softness no advanced world had ever taught him. This child carried wisdom through innocence, courage through simplicity, kindness without calculation. "Does it matter to you if I stay or leave?" the explorer asked quietly. The boy shrugged, but his voice was honest. "I don't control that. I just hope." Hope. He had studied propulsion systems powered by antimatter, communications woven through dimensions, shields built from energy fields. Yet hope, a simple, fragile, human wish, felt more powerful than any technology he knew. The boy then did something small, but enormous. He sat closer. Not touching, just near. A silent offering. "I am here. I see you. You are not alone." No manual in the universe had prepared him for that. He took a slow breath, the bracelet cool against his skin, the feeling warm beneath it. "If I leave," he said softly, "I will come back." The boy didn't cheer or gasp. He simply nodded once. "Then you're not alone anymore," he said, "because someone is waiting." The explorer lowered his head, not to hide, but to keep the feeling safe while it grew. He had traveled star systems to observe humanity, and instead, humanity, in the shape of one small boy, was gently changing him. He looked at the bracelet again, 3 colors twined by small hands, and realized the truth quietly. He was learning not only the world outside him, but the world inside him. And for the first time in all his journeys, he felt something like gravity, not pulling him down but holding him close. This wasn't loneliness anymore. It was belonging, beginning to take root. He woke before sunrise on the 4th day, not because he planned to, but because something inside him refused to rest. There was a feeling in his chest, like a quiet storm waiting, not frightening, just heavy with meaning. He looked at the woven bracelet around his wrist, colors faint in the early light, and touched it gently, as if it were alive. On his world, nothing soft ever held this much power. He walked to the square before people filled it, before voices tangled in the air, before footsteps claimed the stones. The town was still half asleep, sky turning from gray to pale gold. He sat on the same wall, not out of habit, but out of hope. And hope was still new enough to feel like risk. Soon, the boy appeared at the end of the street, moving slower than usual. Not running, not bouncing, just walking, holding his ball loosely, as if he wasn't sure whether today was a running day or a thinking day. When he reached the wall, he didn't hop up or toss the ball in the air. Instead, he set it beside him and sat with a carefulness unusual for someone his age. "You're here early," the boy said. "So are you," the explorer replied. The boy nodded, looking at the bracelet, then at the sky. "I woke up knowing today felt different. Do you ever get that feeling?" The explorer looked at him, surprised by how precise the boy's words were. "Yes," he said softly. "Only recently." They sat without speaking for a moment. The square slowly woke around them, shutters opening, doors unlocking, the low hum of a world deciding it was time to begin. A breeze moved through the trees, warm and steady. The boy breathed out slowly. "Are you leaving?" No accusation, no fear, just truth waiting patiently. The explorer didn't answer right away. He watched a bird hop near their feet, picking crumbs left behind from yesterday. The world felt fragile in its simplicity, a fragile he suddenly wanted to protect. "I must return," he finally said. "My people expect me." The boy looked down at his hands. "I thought so." "But," the explorer continued, "I did not expect leaving to feel like losing something." The boy blinked. "You're not losing it," he said. "You're taking it with you. That's how important things work." The explorer touched the bracelet again. "This is small," he said, "but it feels big." The boy smiled slightly. "That's because it's not string. It's remembering." A soft hum filled the air then, faint, distant, familiar only to ears trained for other skies. The explorer felt the signal like a pulse under his skin. Not loud, just certain. The boy heard nothing, but he watched the explorer's face and understood anyway. "They're calling you." "Yes." The boy swallowed once, the way children do when they don't want to cry, but still feel the tears thinking about it. "Will you come back?" The explorer looked at him, wanting to answer the way humans do, with promise instead of probability. "I will try," he said, and the boy nodded, because trying was enough for a heart that trusted. The hum grew softer, like whoever called him was waiting politely. He stood slowly. The boy stood too. They weren't close enough to touch, but they weren't far enough to feel apart. "You're my friend," the boy said quietly. "And friendship doesn't stop just because someone leaves. It waits." The explorer breathed in, and the air felt heavier now, like it carried meaning instead of oxygen. "You are my first friend on this world," he replied, "and the first one who asked me if I was alone." "You're not," the boy whispered. "Not anymore." Light shimmered faintly around the explorer. Not bright, not loud, just gentle, the way morning light touches water. The boy didn't step back. He just lifted his hand, not to reach, but to stay connected in the space between. The explorer mirrored the gesture, palm open. No touch, no spoken ceremony, just acknowledgement. A kind of goodbye that wasn't truly goodbye, because hearts that learn connection don't unlearn it. The light wrapped around him softly, like a curtain drawn by wind, and the world seemed to bend, not break. In the last clear moment before he lifted away, the boy spoke one more time, voice steady and sure. "I'll be here, even if it takes forever." The explorer vanished like quiet breath leaving the morning air. Not dramatic, not frightening. Just gone. The way stars fade when the sun rises, but never truly disappear. The square returned to itself. A baker opened his shop. A bike rolled past. A cat stretched and yawned. And on the stone wall sat a boy holding a worn ball and wearing a smile that hurt and healed at the same time. He didn't cry. He didn't run. He just pressed his palm to the bracelet on his own wrist, a matching one he had made for himself, and whispered, "Come home when you can." Above, somewhere far beyond blue and clouds and air, a traveler carried a bracelet of thread and hope. And in the quiet space between stars, something inside him answered the boy's voice not with words, but with direction. Because leaving does not erase belonging, and some friendships do not fit inside one planet. They stretch across skies, like thin threads of light, waiting for another meeting in another quiet square, under another morning sun, where a boy once asked one question that opened a universe. "Are you alone?"